Hello, I'm Dr. Sam Hancock of the Emerald Planet and EmeraldPlanet TV. We come to you on a week-to-week basis from Washington, D.C. in the United States as we look around the globe in 144 different nations, looking for those 1,000 best practices, the technology, services, and products that are making a difference as we move through the 21st century. And as we have a planet of 9 billion people by 2038 and possibly 12 to 13 billion by the end of this century, how are we going to be able to take care of all these people on planet Earth? And that's what Emerald Planet's all about. We come to you looking at the solutions, the best practices from around the globe as we create the Emerald Planet. Hello, welcome to the Emerald Planet. We're making a difference as we move through the 21st century. And seeing the long-term impacts of climate change. We're glad to have you. Thank you for being with us.
We're looking at the area called Northern Virginia on the East Coast, the Mid-Atlantic of the United States, and also the work that's being done by the Northern Virginia Regional Commission and why that's so wonderfully important. We have Dale Medeiros, who is the PhD and the regional planner with the Northern Virginia Regional Commission. And we're talking about the road ahead and some of the fun things that can be done, but also very important for the economy and the environment at the same time. So Dale, welcome to the Emerald Planet TV.
Thanks very much, Sam.
Glad to have you here. And I'm going to go right into the images that you shared with us. Why is it so important in modern day society that we really, what we're doing is, I guess there's a concept called reforestation, rewilding the cities. And why is it so important that we bring nature that we've pushed away from the cities? Now we want to have it more back into the center of the cities. Why is this happening?
Yeah, well, looking ahead, some of the themes that are going to become really important for us, especially in light of the pandemic, is how do we create complete streets? How do we allow people opportunities to escape the confines of their apartments and make life palatable, if not happy and sustainable, outside our houses and outside our apartments? And so the example, for instance, or the purpose of this slide is to highlight what the Germans are doing to promote not just, a zero emissions transportation system, but really being creative and thoughtful in the applications of bike lanes that are green, that are aesthetic, they work, they draw people.
Yeah, and I think this is really important, but also it's just like converting the streets. I know that we do this periodically, maybe the farmers markets, or we'll have some holiday or some major event. But how do we green the streets and allow people to really take back over ownership? And the ownership really doesn't rest with the automobiles and the trucks going through, but the people feel like they really own their own streets again.
That's a great question, and that's what's going to occupy planners for the short and the long term on a whole range of issues. And what we're seeing in the case of this image from Berlin is a demonstration of complete streets, and particularly in light of the stress that we all experience with the pandemic. And this is something I'm going to come back to in subsequent slides. But what we crave is opportunities to get out that are safe. And I think that it's this image that embodies everything: the green, the social distancing, and but the vitality that can still be brought into urban centers, even amidst this horrible pandemic that we are all sharing together globally.
Yeah. And the whole thing about this too is that I'm going to go between these two slides. We have a low rise. It's very green. You can just feel it around you. Of course, it helps to cool the streets and the area, absorbing carbon. But then again, going out into nature, this is something Dale could be 300 miles away, or it could be right down the street. So how do
Yeah.
we mesh this together so that all this really does come into the urban areas? Again, this concept of wilding the cities, we're talking about in a very different way of nature and the world of green.
So the purpose, this is an image from a park in Berlin. And again, the pandemic called to everyone's attention the importance of redesigning, reconfiguring, or bringing old ideas that worked really well in the past back into the present. And the ravenous desire that we all experienced during, especially the lockdown, to get out, to regenerate ourselves, to feel healthy and good in parks, is something that's going to stay with us for a long, long time. So obviously an image before the pandemic, but this is something that's going to stay front and center for planners and sustainability experts for a long time. How do we expand the parks so that we use them and we can feel safe and at the same time not abuse them so that they continue to give us the relief that we are going to seek?
Yeah, and this whole thing about the parks and incorporating the green into it, we see these, in essence, Olympic-sized swimming pools and how important they are for youth, even adults. But at the same time, is that we have to have more green around such structures in order to really keep the air and the soil and the water clean. So how do we balance that, Dale, so that we really do have all three of these in the back of our minds, but we're realizing it in real time in real life?
So part of what we all experienced this summer was not just the suffering of the pandemic, but the awakening culturally um, of social inclusion, the importance of social inclusion. So global climate change is going to make things warmer, and what we need in public spaces is to seek relief. And part of the legacy, unfortunately, of public pools in the United States is social exclusion. There's a famous image of the former Congressman John Lewis protesting outside Cairo, Illinois, the exclusion of the African American community. And I think that the benefit of this image, which is just outside Stuttgart, is that they look at the parks, again, holistically. It's not a concrete bin filled with chlorinated water. It's a multifunctional space. It's open to all generations because there are multiple uses, multiple services that are being offered by the city to escape relief. They're going to be safe. You don't have to crowd around just that narrow concrete rim of the pool. You have opportunities to get out, stay physically distant, seek relief in the forest, walk, have a meal, lie out with your friends, your family. It's not just that piece of concrete. It's the park that's woven into the fabric of the rest of the city.
Yeah, and this is really important. I thought this was very interesting. I know there's a park outside of Chicago that looks very similar to this, designed by a Brazilian, and really from much of the same concept. Tell us about this.
So this is the Holocaust Memorial in Berlin, right across from the American Embassy. And part of the awakening that we experienced this summer relates directly to sustainability. As I shared earlier, sustainability has three legs. It's not just the environmental or the economic, it's the social. So the next two images are rich because, again, they convey the confidence that ideas from cities like Berlin can make their way into places like the National Memorial for Peace and Justice in Montgomery, Alabama. The designers creatively took the concept of the undulated landscape from the Holocaust Memorial and incorporated it here into in Montgomery, Alabama, where it becomes even more relevant in the case of the city of Alexandria, the town of Leesburg, and other localities of Northern Virginia and across the Commonwealth is that they're going to have to take receipt of those columns. And that's going to beg the question then, okay, where do we put those columns in Alexandria or in?
Now, having these the multi levels as far as the cities are concerned, we're seeing that not only, I guess you would call this the gray structures, meaning the buildings themselves, but also among the green, how you have multi-levels of the canopy that we're looking into. But how do we incorporate that into the buildings? We see some of the green roofs here. What else is in here that's important, Dale, that maybe we're really not seeing, but yet equally important?
What I think is really important, and the last two slides of this presentation will sort of highlight that even further, is that food waste, surplus food redistribution, and organic recycling are one of the biggest challenges that we confront. And looking abroad to, again, in the case of this, Berlin, for these little community gardens, they're called Schrebergärten in German, I think are going to be really important in information sources for how we begin to adopt new lessons concerning not just urban agriculture, but again, food waste mitigation, surplus food redistribution.
Mm-hmm. And also how we can incorporate that into the green space as far as nutrients for the plants, because, it's nutrients from plants. Again, take us where we are right now, Dale. And again, the importance of this and how we need to have this combination use of a resource, whether it's a lake, it's a river, a stream, and also the forest around us, but at the same time to allow humans to come in and socialize, be together. So if you want a social distance, great. If you want to be with your family, you can do it as well.
Yeah, this gets back to the images of the public pools in Germany, but also to the green and gray infrastructure convergence of the Rems River just outside Stuttgart. This happens to be the convergence of the Rems River with the Neckar River. It's a public beach that our counterparts in the Regional Planning Agency of Stuttgart, Germany, orchestrated. And it's a wonderful demonstration of how gray and green have come together to create a really, really important public amenity, which is places where people can go, public spaces where everyone can access to seek relief from the heat, but also seek pleasure. It's a multifunctional asset. You can do concerts, you can spend the whole day. There's restaurants just behind the trees.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful regional bike path system. Everything just comes together right there at this particular project.
It really is beautiful. And this is a beautiful photograph, and I'm glad that you shared this with us. Tell us what we're seeing here and the integration of the urban, the built environment, and the natural environment, but also intensive agriculture at the same time.
Yeah, just the powerful importance of how, again, in places like Stuttgart, they have so creatively, thoughtfully, beautifully linked green with gray. The urban form is clearly defined. The green is allowed to thrive, creates the kinds of assets that I've shared with you and our audience over the course of this and the other presentations. But it's, again, green can fundamentally be part of the urban fabric.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And also something we tend to forget, gray is also a very important part of that. We're always trying to get rid of more of the gray, have more of the green, but really it's what you're doing, Dale. It's about the balance. And this is going to the food waste and getting that in, and we're just about out of time. But how do we take, this food waste, the whole nature of camaraderie, companionship, and translate that into what you've created in Northern Virginia? And you got to do all that in about 15 seconds.
So this is aspirational. This is a scene from Berlin to immigrants, refugees from Syria, Africa, around the world, brought them together with the German community and through cooking. And food recycling was part of that conversation. There are 26 chapters of this program. It's called Looking Beyond the Edge of the Plate, or Thinking Out of the Box would be an approximate translation. And they bring together, it's a wonderful message of sustainability, social inclusion, multicultural assimilation over food, and surplus food redistribution.
That's absolutely incredible. Well, thank you for being with us. We'll go out on this because we have to take care of this. This is Dale Medeiros of the Northern Virginia Regional Commission. Thank you for being with us throughout this time as we create the Emerald Planet.
Thank you so much. It was a real pleasure, a real honor.